Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Thistle, and I'm here today to talk a bit about the upcoming Dragon Age Veilguard. I haven't really had much chance to cover it in any of my videos, or honestly I haven't had much time to make videos in general lately, but I do plan on doing a Let's Play of Veilguard on my channel when it comes out, so I figured I should do a bit of a discussion about it beforehand. This discussion will be broken down into a couple different sections, starting out with my thoughts on general visuals of the game, then diving into what we know of the story. I'll give my feedback on what I think of the companions so far. But before I dive in to the meat of my little discussion here, I do want to just say I have been witness to a lot of the drama going on around this game right now in terms of some of the customer characterization stuff, and all the juicy YouTube drama that loves to seep into videos like this. I ain't interested. Let me say that right now. I'm hoping to get some great comments in my comment section. I'd love to hear people's thoughts, opinions, what they're thinking of playing, if they're going to play it. I'm not interested in hate. I'm not interested in pure negativity. You can dislike the game, that's fine. But if you're going to come into my comment section and start calling people stupid for being excited, or saying homophobic or transphobic stuff, I'm not interested. Your comment will be deleted, so don't waste your time. This is a positive space for positive and constructive discussion. And for those of you who do end up in my comment section, if you see a troll, please don't interact with them. I'll find their comment and I'll delete it eventually, so don't bother. Don't bother arguing with them, they're just seeking attention. But, in the meantime, let's go ahead and dive into the discussion, starting with the visuals. I know not everybody is super psyched about the particular animations and the stylized art style in general. I honestly kind of love it. I've not seen anything visually yet that I dislike. Even the Canary foreheads, I kind of love it, because it gives some character. Like, I've always loved that certain people in video games just generally look kind of weird, and I like it, especially since Canary are so different from the other people. Thetis, they would look weird to, people who aren't used to seeing them. I know a lot of people really loved the Airshok and the Canary designs from Dragon Age 2, and I did too. But if you break it down, all the Canary very much looked a lot like the same. I think the Airshok even had like the same face as everyone, just different body and horns and hair. So I loved the design. I thought they were super intimidating in that. But who's to say you can't make a super intimidating Canary? Most people haven't even had a chance to play with their character builder yet. And quite frankly, the Dragon Age 2 Canary designs look like they wouldn't be necessarily very expressive. And this is a role-playing game, and your character is going to have different emotions and whatnot, so having the faces themselves look a bit more human, but with changes to the body shape, the horns and whatnot, it allows for expressiveness while still showing they are a part of this particular group of people. So I personally love the Canary and their giant foreheads. I'm probably at some point gonna make a very funny looking Canary because I love making abominations in video games if I have the option. Yeah, visually I love it. The colors. Oh my gosh, the colors. I thrive off of bright colors. I don't know if there's a term for it, but high saturation, deep colors, contrast, it draws my eye, and it draws me in. I love it. I'm one of those people who will watch videos of just very colorful scenery because I find it relaxing. And all the things we've seen so far with the gameplay reveals and what people have posted from the early access event, it just looks beautiful. It looks fun. The environments look stunning. The armor looks unique and varied, and of course, the hair. Like, not just the different styles, but also the physics and the color options. I'm excited to get in there and make my rook. But yeah, overall, I'm very pleased with the overall art design. I even kind of love the giant head to shoulder ratios because it's stylized. It's not supposed to be realistic. It's a fantasy game. And honestly, we see so many realistic and semi-realistic games nowadays. It's kind of nice to see something stylized again. Especially with BioWare, considering their past issues with just general human-like faces with this particular engine. I say go for stylized, especially if it works better for your engine and your animations, which I think it does. Yeah, overall, in terms of visuals, I'm very, very happy. In terms of what we know of the story so far. So, I have played all 3 of the other games, including DLCs. In fact, I've played them about a gazillion times. I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. I have been for years, decades at this point, it feels like. But the gameplay is definitely different for Veilguard with the new combat mechanics, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But the story is one I have been so curious about for a long time. In Inquisition, I was a big Solus fan. Big Solus fan. And I've always been interested in the lore about the Elven Gods and the Illuvians and the Fate, and then with Inquisition, the Crossroads. The fact that our story is centered around the idea that 2 of the Elven Gods, the Evaniris, got free and are now a major threat. I'm excited. I've always had questions about the different religions in Thedas and where they came from and the different stories, and I am curious if they're going to be touching on those religious aspects in the game. I mean, if you think about it, we kind of got confirmed that Solus is essentially the Maker. I mean, the Maker created the Veil, Solus made the Veil. He's the Chantry's maker. He's an elf and kind of a twat. But how will Androstian characters react to some of this knowledge that, oh, the Elven Gods were real? And if there is going to be a discussion of, well, this kind of turns our faith on their heads, how does that fit into the story of Andraste? That's stuff I've always been curious about, and I do wonder if we'll have some discussions of that. Reminiscent to some of the conversations you could have with Sarah in Inquisition about her faith, because she wants to believe in the Maker, but she doesn't want to believe Corypheus, saw the seat and it was empty. She can't comprehend the existence of the Elven Gods because, well, they and the Maker can't exist. I loved having some of those questions with Sarah. So I do wonder if we'll get some of those questions again. Maybe this time with Balara. And maybe Davrin too. They both have Valisleen. They're both Dalish. How are they going to react to knowing, oh shoot, our gods are real. They're evil. And now we have to fight them. I want to know. I really want to see some of that theological discussion. I'm also really happy that it doesn't look like Solus is just purely the villain. You're just constantly working to foil Solus's plan. He's always been a complicated character. So I'm happy that he's not just straight up the villain. Because that, I think, would have been a bit of a cop-out, especially for people who like me, who really liked Solus and Inquisition. Yeah, I'm excited to see the different places we get to travel, the different quests we do, how we get to interact with the world. That's something that they've definitely been talking a lot, is how interactive the world is. We've seen scenes of Rooks sliding down these zip lines, of messing with elven artifacts. I want to see what the limits are on that. So yeah, that I guess that's what I have on what we know of the story so far. I guess I'll go ahead and go into the new combat mechanics. It's definitely very different than the other games. I love Origins, again. In terms of story, Dragon Age Origins is 100% my favorite. God, I hate the combat in Dragon Age Origins. It is slow, it's tedious, and generally you're just there doing one animation over and over and over again until you click a button, and then suddenly you get a different one, which, especially for mages, usually just revolves around lifting your staff into the air or something. So, yeah, and then it got better with 2, it got better with Inquisition. So far, before Veilguard, Dragon Age 2 probably had my favorite combat. It felt very, what's the term? Dynamic. I'm very excited to try out this new combat system for Veilguard. I know a lot of people are kind of sad that you can't control your party members. You don't have that top-down tactical view, but I think with the new way combat is done, that makes sense. The new combat looks a lot faster, a lot more diversive, and dynamic, again, I guess is really the only word. That I think if you also had to control your companions more in-depthly, plus stopping and looking down, it wouldn't work as well given the animations and the combat style. It's meant to be much more snappy and quick and less tactical, which I understand isn't going to be for everyone. Not everyone likes the more snappy, quick fighting styles in games, which is fine. But I'm excited to give it a shot, especially considering, again, just how fast and fluid it looks. It looks beautiful. I've seen scenes where, stuff that's been put out where it looks weighty. Like, it looks like the animations have impact. They managed to make it so that if you get hit, it looks like you got hit. You don't just have a weird general stumbling animation. In a recent video that came out that showed bits of a dragon fight, like, your rook's getting tossed backwards by getting struck by the dragon, not just onto their back, but, like, flown back. That's awesome! Because, yeah, if a dragon hits you with their tail, they ain't just knocking you down, they're sending you into a wall. So I'm very excited to give it a try. I've never played that kind of fighting in a game before, so it probably will have a bit of a learning curve. I am happy that they have the general presets for combat for difficulty, but also like a custom one. I'll probably end up doing custom. So yeah, very excited for the combat. I do think it looks very good. I don't think it's going to be for everyone, but I'm excited to give it a shot. If nothing else, it's very fun to look at. So yeah, that's my thought on story and the combat mechanics. I guess I'll go into what most people who play BioWare games are for, are the NPCs. Definitely one of my things I always look forward to for RPGs is who do I get to take around an adventure with me? Who do I get to romance and all that fun stuff? It's definitely my favorite part about all 3 of the other Dragon Age games. My favorite part of Baldur's Gate is the companions. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into companions. We'll go ahead and start first with, well, I guess I'll go over via the release trailer. Harding. We have Harding. I figured we would for a long time already. But I just love her so much in Inquisition. I love her general attitude. I love her updated character design. She looks older, but still youthful. You can see all her freckles, the way her hair's still tied up. She's still Harding. I love the little clips we've seen of her in her rest outfit, where she actually has her hair down a little bit, and yeah, I'm excited to learn about her, especially with the events of the Descent in Inquisition, where we learn about dwarf magic, and we've seen some clips from the trailers that look like Harding might get some magic of her own. I am very curious because we see Harding like turning somebody to stone, which is something Solus did in Trespasser. So that I'm super curious about. I want to know what's going on with Harding. But after her, we got introduced briefly to Nave Gallus. Nave? I think that's how you pronounce it. Nave Gallus. She's a member of the Shadow Dragons. She is a private investigator. Oh, and she's a mage. And she's a Tevinter mage as well, which is very fun. We all loved Dorian. I love her style. And wow, she's hot. I don't know how I feel about her just yet. She seems very confident, very calm, which I do really appreciate. She's one I imagine to be kind of a slow burn to get to know. She seems like the kind of person who will keep people at a distance until she trusts them. So unless Rook earns her trust, I don't think we'll get too far under her shell. But I'm curious to see what's under there. I want to know what her passions are, what drives her. I want to know what her personal story is. I'm very curious about Nev. She seems like a very cool, calm, and collected member of our party, which we do need. And we also get to meet her very early, so I wonder if she'll maybe take up a similar position Solus had in Inquisition with our Rook as maybe kind of a mage, an advisor. I do think it's kind of funny that we are starting a game for the second time now with a mage and a rogue. It seems pretty common that we always start with a mage companion. Unless you are playing a mage and turns a hawk. But yeah, no, we're starting with a dwarven rogue and a mage again. So yeah, I want to know about Nev. I want to hear her story. I want to break down her walls. She seems like somebody who keeps a lot of walls up, and I kind of want to dive deep and learn what makes her tick. Let's see who came next. Lucanus. Oh boy, everybody's Short King. I know a lot of people who are frothing at the mouth for Lucanus, which I get. Everyone loves the dark roguish characters, and not to mention that Antivan accent. Yeah, I have unfortunately not had a chance to read Tevinter Nights. I would like to, I just haven't been able to get a hold of it yet. But I know he's shown up in previous things. I know some stuff about those stories he's come up in or been mentioned in. I know he's a crow, which, I mean, I love the crows, so I'm not sure what to expect from him. I mean, just looking at him visually, one would expect him to be kind of the dark and brooding, roguish character, but I don't think, from everything I've heard from other people, I don't think that's who he is. A wonderful creator named Veilguard has done a video about Lucanus that has gotten me very excited. Showed some clips, a little bit spoilery, but I honestly don't mind that considering how big the game seems to be. I'm at a point where I don't mind a few little spoilers. But yeah, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to be the dark and brooding. He seems more kind of soft-spoken. I would say I would describe him as shy. Definitely seen a few clips where he's funny. Yeah, I definitely see why a lot of people are excited to get to see him and talk with him and romance him. I know a lot of people who say that Lucanus is going to be their first romance, which I totally get. And again, you gotta love a short king. I believe he is the shortest companion who isn't a dwarf. Sorry, Harding. But yeah, I'm excited to learn about Lucanus. I want to know his story. I want to see how his relationship with the crows interacts with the Veilguard. I'm curious how he'll interact with your rook if you're playing as a crow. And it does, I'm hoping this also means we get a chance to go to Antiva, because I've been dying to get a look at Antiva for years. Let's see, after Lucanus, who popped up? Balara! Yes, our Veil Jumper. So, for people who are saying BioWare's changed too much, I'm gonna point to Balara. In every game, especially more recent ones, BioWare has their, quirky girl. And, I mean, heck, you could even argue that they've had it since Origins. Only in Origins, Leliana was, at least back then, the quirky girl. Then, you know, Mass Effect, you have Tali, who's kind of the more cute and quirky one, and then, you know, Dragon Age 2, you have Meryl. Dragon Age 3, you have Sarah. Or, 3. Inquisition, you have Sarah. Mass Effect Andromeda, you had the pilot. I'm blanking on her name. But yeah, like, and the other Asari. Andromeda seemed to have 2 quirky girls. So, the quirky girl seems to just be a BioWare staple at this point. But I like Balara so far. She seems really fun. I love her character design, honestly. I think she looks really cool. I'm so curious about Veil Jumpers in general. And I'm hoping, really hoping, that her whole personality isn't just, oh, look at me, I'm quirky. I'm hoping there's more depth to it, kind of like there is with Sarah. Because you do get to see some of Sarah's depth in Inquisition. Yeah, I don't know much what else to say about Balara at this point. She is definitely fun looking. I'm, again, excited to see, maybe take her into Elven Ruins with me. I want to see how she reacts to that stuff. And yeah, I'm hoping we get a chance to talk to her about, you know, the situation with the Elven Gods and what this means for her as a Dalish elf. I very much want to have those kind of conversations with her. That's it for Balara. Then, everyone's bone daddy, we got Emmerich. Emmerich has been confirmed to be the oldest of the companions and the second tallest next to Tash. He is a Mortalitasi necromancer from Navarra. And he's been described by the devs as the gentleman necromancer. He has also shown up in some books, from what I understand. And he has a manservant, a little skeleton servant named Manfred, who is voiced by Matthew Mercer, from Critical Role. So, I love Emmerich already. I've really happy to see an older character be brought into the game. A lot of RPGs tend to stick with younger looking characters and companions. Emmerich's gray, he has wrinkles, he looks kind of tall and skinny. He's 100% my type of character. I'm really excited to get to see him and talk to him. I'm mostly leaning towards him currently for a first romance, possibly. Just because he's so different from other characters we've had in Dragon Age games before. I think, well, technically I think the oldest companion we've ever had is Solus, but I'm not going to count that because I don't know how he ages at this point. But we know he's a couple 100 years old, minimum. But Emmerich will be our oldest aging companion, I will say. Certainly the oldest human. Before him, I think it was, well, technically Loghain. If you recruited him in Dragon Age Origins, Loghain, I think at that point was in his 50s. And I think Emmerich's probably in his mid to late 50s at this point. And yeah, he has the little skeleton Manfred, which I'm super excited to learn about. Yeah, so again, I'm curious to see how he interacts. I don't think he's gonna be the typical necromancer that's all dark and edgy and weirdly, like, sad. I do expect probably some sorrow in his story. But he just, from what we've seen, he seems so fun. His voice actor, I don't know what it is, but the few voice lines I've managed to hear from him have just drawn me in even more. So yeah, definitely loving Emmerich. After Emmerich, I do believe it was our Warden Davrin, if I'm correct. Yeah, Davrin. We have another Dalish elf in our party this time. We actually have 2 Dalish elves, and Davrin's being the second one, and he is a Grey Warden, and he also has a little companion in the Griffin Hassan. Again, I know a lot of people who are very excited for Davrin. I love the Grey Wardens. I do like that we've always had at least some form of representation of them. Yeah, I don't know much about Davrin, other than the fact that he's a warden and he has a little griffin. Again, from some things that have been put out by IGN and whatnot, he seems to be a very straightforward person, very straight to the point. I wouldn't necessarily say he's cold, but he's a bit standoffish. But I would love to know his stories. Why did he join the Grey Wardens? What does he think about the Grey Wardens? And in connection to that, I want to know, based off of choices in Inquisition, how have the Grey Wardens been? Because you made some pretty big choices with Inquisition regarding the Wardens. And of course Hassan. Like, we already know you're allowed to pet Hassan, which, I'll be honest, is probably going to take up way too much of my time in playing, because who doesn't want to pet the cute little griffin? A lot of Davrin's attacks seem to involve Hassan. Yeah. Again, like, there's not much about him out yet. Right now, it's a case of I'm curious to see who he is, how he grows, what his relationship with Rook is going to look like, what his relationship with the other characters are going to be. So yeah, I'm, again, just right now curious. We don't have a whole lot of information just yet. So after Davrin, I believe the only one we got left after that is Tash. Our Kunari, we don't know if they follow the Qun or if they're Talvishoth yet, I don't think. I don't think that's been confirmed. We know that they are part of the Lords of Fortune faction. And we know that they are they-them, from everything I've learned from the devs and whatnot. And other than that, we do not know much about Tash. We know they're a dragon hunter. But other than that, there has been shockingly little about our Qunari companion. Which makes me very curious why there hasn't been much put out. Like, we have, in gameplay stuff even, we haven't had much in terms of dialogue with Tash, or even companion banter with them. So, I'm very curious to see if there's a reason for that, if maybe they're a less developed character, or if they actually have some major secrets and story stuff going on with them. So I'm curious to unwrap the mystery that is Tash right now. But that's pretty much the companions. In regards to companions, like I said, right now I'm leaning mostly towards a romance with Emmerich. But I'm keeping my options open. I want to see how my Rook actually interacts with them and dive into their story more before I make any kind of solid choice, but right now Emmerich definitely where I'm leaning. But a fun thing that we do know is that companions aren't just going to have a relationship with Rook, they're going to have a relationship with each other. Which I do like, which is something in general I feel has been missing in a lot of BioWare games in the past, especially Dragon Age. Because in Origins you get a little bit about, oh, Alistair and Morgan don't like each other and kind of have this almost sibling rivalry kind of thing. But that's about as deep as it goes. I am so excited to see how deep this inter-party relationship stuff goes. We know they can develop romances with each other. It's been confirmed that if you don't romance them, Harding and Tash will end up together, most likely. And I wonder what other pairings there are. Will Lucanus and Emmerich become a thing? Or Davrin and Nave? Or Bellara and Harding if you romance Tash? Like, I'm very curious to see what the different combinations could be. And if maybe they'll grow, like, if you take two people with you all the time, will they develop, like, stronger relationships with each other as, like, best friends? Or is it a lot more vague? I'm very sorry if you hear a bunch of noise. My cats decide to spasm while I'm in the middle of recording. So, yeah, that's what I'm very curious about in terms of those companions. But, in terms of character conversations, I'm, again, so sorry about my cat. In terms of characters, I'm also curious about our non-companion relations. We have Varric, who we see a little bit. We have Solus. And yeah, so I'm curious how involved Varric's going to be, if he's going to be kind of an advisor kind of character maybe, like how Cullen and Josephine were in Dragon Age Inquisition. Or I have seen theories that Varric might die. Which I hope not, but I could see it happening for story reasons. Especially since he's getting up there in age and he's lived a rough life. Like, I could see them killing off Varric for story purposes. I hope not. I love Varric. We do know he's not romanceable. But yeah, I want to know how he's going to be involved past that intro scene. I suspect Varric is probably going to be the one to bring the Inquisitor in. We know the Inquisitor is going to show up. But yeah, I'm wondering how involved he's going to be, if he's going to survive past this game. There's a lot of questions up in the air about exactly who Varric's going to be in this game. And then we got Solus, Fen'Harel, the Dread Wolf, the Egg, whatever moniker you want to give him. We know that he has a connection to Rook. We have heard that he will act as sort of an advisor, and that your relationship with Solus can be very varied. Very varied. I do wonder how that relationship's going to play into the game. Can you build up a good relationship with Solus and convince him to change his mind on his plans? If you're super against Solus, never befriend him and just have this bitter, tedious connection to him. How much of a danger is he going to become to us? What's Solus's end story going to look like? How is he going to interact? Is he going to interact with the Inquisitor? I really hope so. And how is that going to affect the story? How is your Inquisitor's relationship with Solus going to affect the story? Is Solus going to survive this game? Are you going to have to kill him as Rook? Is he going to get redeemed and make some sort of heroic sacrifice? I don't know. Solus, as usual, is a bit of an enigma. And I just want to know... I want to know how it's going to affect us. How it's going to affect the story. So... that's pretty much what I got on characters so far. I know it's not the most in-depth. I know some people out there have put out 20-minute videos purely on characters. But like I said, I'm just doing kind of a big summary. Any other bits? I don't know. I'm excited. I'm very excited to play Veilguard. I'm also cautious. I was not a fan of Andromeda. I didn't even bother playing Anthem. But I know that BioWare hasn't been doing great the last couple years. So I am cautious. And yet I still can't help but get excited. I'm excited to be delving back into a world that I was super involved in, like in my early 20s and late teens, and it's been a decade. It's been 10 years since Inquisition came out, and I'm just excited to be back. Even if the game isn't amazing, at least it'll be a conclusion somewhat to the story, I'm hoping. I don't know if there's going to end up being a Dragon Age 5. I think a lot of it will depend on how well they do with this game. But right now, what I've seen has me excited and hopeful. I'm super excited to get into the character creator and make my Rook. I already have some ideas about who I want them to be. And yeah, I guess those are my thoughts on Veilguard so far. I know it's not the most polished video you've ever seen, or video or essay you've seen. This was basically just kind of a sit down and ramble situation, but it looks good. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to see other people play it. I'm excited to get into more conversations about it. And Halloween just can't come soon enough. I am currently dealing with a hand injury. I'm really hoping it'll be healed up enough that I'm out of my cast, so it's easier for me to play on controller. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be putting out a few more videos about Veilguard. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play on this channel, so if you're interested in seeing my Let's Play, please, subscribe and follow if you're interested. And here in the next couple days, I'm going to be putting out a video detailing my world state that I'm going to be playing in. My choices from past games. I don't know how well they'll, 3, 2, 1, start. Sorry about that. I don't know how much the past games are going to affect Veilguard beyond Inquisition. I'm really hoping certain questions, certain aspects will matter. Obviously, such as things like, did you have the old god baby with Morrigan? Did you side with the mages or Templars in Dragon Age 2? And all these little tidbits, I'm really curious to see just how deep it'll affect the game. But, either way, that's the end of my video so far. If you're interested in more content, please let me know. I'm also, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Veilguard. Are you excited? Are you cautiously optimistic? Is it not for you? I still want to know. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions, as long as you're kind and respectful about it, please. Again, I don't want to hear any bigotry. I don't want to hear any hate. It's a video game. Let's all just have fun talking about it. I look forward to seeing more content and getting more information, and I hope you guys will be there with me to experience it. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.